Alright, so here we are at Hemorrhoid Hill.
Hi, welcome to another episode of The Mostly Mike Show. Today I'm going to take my gear reductions on Trail Force 1 to a degree that some of you might have only read about in books. If you've been watching my videos, then you know that Trail Force 1 is actually a Coleman CT200U EX. Click above for the binge-worthy Trail Force 1 playlist. Like I've said in the past, there's definitely sacrifices to be made when you increase the torque with upgrades to the drivetrain. The motor only has so many RPMs at full throttle, so you can either gear high for speed or low for more bottom-end power. There's advantages to both, but in my personal case, Trail Force 1 acts in sort of a pack mule capacity. So I don't need to go fast, but I do need it to get me and my gear up some steep hills at times. Specifically Hemorrhoid Hill, which we'll be testing this on when we're done. So I ordered this 9-tooth jackshaft sprocket on Amazon for about $10. I put this in my Amazon store, which I'll include the link. Clicking the links before you make any Amazon purchase helps this channel grow. You don't even have to buy anything that I list. I have to make a confession. I wasn't ecstatic about the key being machined right into the bore. There were other options, and after buying it, I wished I would have ordered one with a broached keyway. Maybe it's just me because I'm a sucker for replaceable keys. I'm going to be curious how long this style is going to last. I'll keep you posted if an event should arise. I think that for all the bigger it is, I'm going to carry the 10-tooth sprocket with me so I don't have to push Trail Force 1 out of the woods if it fails. Does anyone know how this bore might have been machined? Tell me in the comments if you know. I have a hunch that... Well, enough small talk. Let's change this thing out so we can go out and have some fun. Whether you have a centrifugal clutch or a torque converter such as Trail Force 1, the installation is exactly the same, only a little different. You're going to want to elevate the rear wheel and block it underneath the frame with a milk crate, wooden blocks, or this badass custom-made maintenance stand that I made in another video. Your choice, I won't judge you one bit. Remove the cover, drive chain, and if you roll with the torque converter, the belt, which this one seems unusually loose. There's no adjustment, but it just seems like it would run so much better just slightly tighter. What do you think? Anyway, there's a nut on a driven pulley that you'll need to remove, which may or may not require a means to hold the driven pulley, such as a strap wrench or a chain wrench. So I'm going to just take an adjustable wrench and loosen this nut holding the driven pulley. And there we have access to our drive sprocket, which this is a 10-tooth. On the centrifugal clutch, you'll remove the primary chain, then the jackshaft sprocket. That setup was partially absent for this video. The old sprocket will slide right off, and the new 9-tooth seemed to slide on just the same. Of course, being that the key was built in, the key had to be shortened or replaced with a shorter one. Now I know what you're gonna say, I should have taken it to the bench vise to cut it, but sometimes I like to live on the edge. The Mostly Mike Show is not responsible for collateral loss or injuries sustained while assimilating the actions in this video. Because they could be a real bird and that should fit up pretty good. I'm gonna play this a little bit smart, and I'm gonna install the chain while I have this off because it's sort of a pain feeding it through this housing. So I will, I'll get that after it's done. Wow. I'll definitely stick the old key in a safe place with the other sprocket, because my confidence level in that built-in key isn't very high. Pulley back on. Washer, nut, snug it up. We should be good to go. Now we have to tighten our chain up. Loosen the axle. check it. Still too loose. 1, 2. Repeat on the other side. 1/2 inch of deflection, that's pretty good. Tighten the axle. Check it again. Feels good. Put the belt on. Put the cover on. Now these covers, I only put 2 of the bolts in case you got to work on it out in the woods. Believe me, it'll save you a lot of screwing around. So after reversing the assembly process, we're ready to take old Trail Force 1 for a spin. Right away, I definitely noticed a slight loss in speed on the way to Hemorrhoid Hill, but there was notably more bottom end. It's hard to capture the steepness of Hemorrhoid Hill with a GoPro, but trust me, it's pretty steep. It had rained recently, so I'm not quite getting the traction that we had all hoped for.
Alright, so here we are at Hemorrhoid Hill, and I'm going to make one run through it without setting up any external cameras and just see how she goes. We're running out of daylight, so not really much time to film, so we're gonna let her rip here. Holy cow, it was wheeling up that hill. That's wheelie good.
The first run up Hemorrhoid Hill was very impressive. It ripped through this treachery much better, complementing the previous upgrades with this little gem. You can probably tell by the footage I was in fact having way too much fun, and yes, you might say that I have way too much time on my hands. Best of all, so far so good for that building key holding up to this abuse. If you enjoyed this video, how about hitting that thumbs up button and consider subscribing if you're new to this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time for more hilarious antics and madcap hijinks.